Alright, so now let's have a look at an example involving the hypotenuse-leg theorem. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this here. Let's mark the pieces that we have. We want to show ST is congruent to SQ, so I'll mark that here. We have ST is perpendicular to PR. Alright, that seems fair. Angle Q is a right angle. That's fine. And RT is congruent to RQ. Okay, so considering that ST and SQ are congruent here, or at least that's what we want to show, it looks like I'm going to look at this pair of triangles here. We're going to try to look at RTS and RQS here. So in this situation, we seem to have, oh right, that seems to be okay. And I've got a pair of sides, and I've got a pair of sides like this, got a pair of legs, and I've got the hypotenuse. They happen to share the hypotenuses here. Now, the one most important thing about this is, remember that if we're going to use hypotenuse leg, the most important thing that needs to happen, remember that when we talked about hypotenuse leg, the most important thing about this was the fact that they were right triangles. So in order to use the hypotenuse-leg theorem properly, we have to ensure one important thing. We have to ensure that we have right triangles. So there's actually going to be two phases here. Our proof is going to be divided into two phases here. Phase one, we want to show the right triangles. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at here. So let's go ahead and write this one out. And I'm actually going to write the phases in different colors here so you can see what's happening in this situation here. Okay. So here are the statements. Here's our reasons here. So I'm going to write this in two column forms so we can see this. So the first half of my proof is going to be devoted to showing that we have right triangles here. Okay. So in this situation here, we can now what do we know about right triangles? Well, they're triangles that contain right angles in them, right? So all we have to do is show that we have a bunch of right angles. This is clearly a right angle because they told us, so I can mention that here. So angle Q is a right angle, and that's given to us. And notice that we know that this is a right angle because we have perpendicular lines. So let's go ahead and introduce that. So ST is perpendicular to PR, and that's also given to us here. And note that in this situation, that makes angle RTS is a right angle here. And we know that is because we have a perpendicular line. So we can say this is our definition of perpendicular lines. And that's from step 2. Right? Now we've established that these two triangles have right angles in them, so therefore there must be right triangles. So I can conclude that triangle RTS and RQS are right triangles. Right? They are right triangles here, and the reason is that we know what a right triangle is. So we can say that right triangles contain one right angle. And we've established that here, and notice that we've established that in steps 1 and 3. Granted, this is also partial, if you think about it, this is also the definition of right triangles here, so you can use that here in step 4 as a reason if you wish. But it also works like this, okay? So, phase 1 is now finished. We have completed phase 1. So now phase 2 comes into play. Now we actually have to show the congruency, right? So phase 2 is to show the congruent triangles, right? Because now we've established phase 1. We've established the fact that they have we established right triangles here. Now we have to establish the corresponding pieces are congruent here. So that's not too bad because we have all the pieces we need. So our next thing, step 5 here, right? We can go ahead and set that up. Step 5 here should work out pretty nicely. So we can use our hypotenuses. So RS is congruent to our RS here. That's our hypotenuses. And this is our reflexive property. All right, let's move on. Step 6, and now that we have that, so step 6, we have RT is congruent to RQ, and that's our legs, and that's given to us. And now finally, we can conclude that the triangles are congruent here. So we can say that triangle RST is congruent to triangle RSQ. And this is going to be our hypotenuse-leg theorem. And that is going to be, so let's see here. Well, we have our leg and hypotenuse, and we have the right triangle. So this is going to be from 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So now phase 2 is complete. We now have established the fact that the triangles are congruent. So now we can finish it off here, and this is going to be its own phase because, it's not part of the congruent triangles here. It's just a consequence of that. So as a result, we can say that ST is congruent to SQ here. Right? And we just finish this off, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. And that is from step 7. And as you can see here, it works out very nicely. So notice that our proof is going to be in 3 parts here. Our first phase, we want to ensure right triangles. Our second phase, we can get our congruence. And then finally, finish it all off.